Hi, this is video 6.6 day 1. What we're going to be learning about is fundamental.
Hey, this is our video. Get out of here. All right. Get out of here.
Okay, we're
Sorry
back
about
now.
that.
All
All
right.
right. So our essential question today is, how do I write a polynomial given the roots, and how do I solve a polynomial equation by factoring? But the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to quick go to full screen so that we can see better. It's fine. All right.
Okay, let me move this down.
Oh,
I
good
totally,
call.
we're way
Yeah.
unorganized
We
right
got
now.
thrown off by our visitor.
Yes.
That's all right.
So, who uses this? Well, if you're going to be an aerospace engineer, you may find roots of polynomial equations to determine dimensions of rockets. Do you believe that?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I just would never use it myself.
No, me neither. Right now, no. So, you have learned several important properties about real roots of polynomial equations. Here, let's just do a quick review
Just
for
a
them.
reminder.
It's just a reminder.
Okay.
When you are, let's just read the first one. A real number r is a root of the polynomial equation. Remember, we set a polynomial equal to 0. We find the roots. Remember, I'm going to have Miss Boyd write something right
Okay.
now. 0.
Where would you like me to write?
Right down there.
All right. Perfect.
0. No, the word 0.
My
Sorry.
bad. Here we go.
0 equals,
I'll change that.
I know, you knew it would bug me.
I knew.
Root equals x-intercept.
So they're all the same thing.
Correct.
All right.
And what you learned at the beginning of this chapter when you were talking about division is when the remainder is 0, that means that, well, first of all, x minus r is the root, is a factor. Remember,
Right.
something is a factor of something else if when using division, the remainder is 0.
Okay.
So we can cover this more, but this is
Yeah,
a quick
Just a
reminder.
quick reminder.
If we go to the next page, we now are going to kind of go backwards.
Okay.
So we're
giving you the
given,
roots this
right,
time.
we're giving them the roots and we're
Got
going to write a polynomial.
Okay.
So I think the first thing we should probably do is to be consistent, we're going to write P, uppercase P, and then in parentheses X. That's how we name a polynomial. That equals, now remember, we're kind of going backwards.
Right.
So we are going to write these roots as factors. Whenever we do that, we have to write,
And this time we have 3 of them.
yes.
So we have to have 3 factors.
Right, so we have to take X minus
something.
X minus something,
y.
and X minus something.
Okay. So that something is, is the root.
Mhm.
So we just plug it in our parentheses here.
Correct.
Well, if you look at that, we have a minus and a negative. So I'm going to clean that up actually.
Let's do that.
So now we have P of X equals X plus 1,
Mm-hmm.
X plus 1,
Yes.
and still X minus 2.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're just going backwards.
All right.
Well, we can't leave it like this
No.
because we have to generate a polynomial. So we're going to use FOIL.
Okay.
Probably multiply the first two, don't
yeah,
you think?
so notice we have 3 of them. Just start with the first 2.
Yeah,
So we'll
that's what
just
I would
these
do.
2.
Makes
So
it easier.
X times X gives me X squared.
Right.
I'll just do this. X
Mhm.
times 1 gives me 1x.
Yep.
1 times x gives me 1x.
Yep.
And 1 times 1 gives me 1.
Correct. And we're going to, that's all in parentheses. And the
I'm
P
gonna
of X is
quick
still on the
clean it up.
left.
Yep, I'll bring it down.
I know.
Clean this up.
Oh yeah, combine like terms.
There we go. So
We
now
just
I've got
generated a
3
trinomial, 3 terms.
Sorry.
And we have to bring down that x minus 2.
I'm going to keep it in red so you know it's still the one we
Yep.
still have to multiply by.
So now we're multiplying a trinomial by a binomial, which you learned back at the beginning of the chapter.
Mhm. Which is kind of like foiling, but we're
Mhm.
just distributing everything
Right.
again. So x squared times x gives me an x to the third.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
X squared times a negative 2 gives me a new
Negative.
negative 2x squared.
We're done with the x squared.
So
Now
now
we
we
go to the
2x.
2x.
2x times x gives me a positive 2x squared.
Yes.
2x times a negative 2 gives me a negative 4x. I'm
Correct.
done with the x. So
Mhm.
now I'm going to go to the 1. 1 times x is just x. And 1 times negative 2 is negative 2.
Perfect.
Now we got to combine our like terms.
Yes, we can do that.
So always start with your highest power, x to the third. We're
Mhm.
done with that one.
Look at the x squareds.
They cancel.
I
We
love
have a
when
negative
things
and a
cancel.
positive. Gone.
Yep.
Here we've got a negative 4x and an x. That gives me a negative 3x. And
Minus
a
2.
negative 2.
And the whole thing
That-
is equal to,
Oh, p of x.
correct, that is our polynomial. We just created a polynomial.
Nice.
All right. Now, what do you think? Example 2?
Let's save it for class.
Because it's just like the one we
Yeah,
did.
same,
Okay.
same.
Now, what we're going to do, we're not going to do example 3. We're going to
No,
do
let's
example
skip
4, but I want to just show you what's listed in the notes here.
Okay.
It says in the first part of this lesson, you were given the roots or zeros,
Mhm.
and we needed to find a polynomial. Now we're going to be given a polynomial equation, and we have to find the roots by factoring.
So we'll get just regular numbers.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's save example
Sounds
3 for class, and let's go down to example 4.
Okay.
Now, the first thing, we have to get everything on one
One
side.
side. So I'm going to add this 15
Mm.
right away.
Correct.
All right. So we've got an x cubed minus 2x squared
hmm
minus 25x plus 50.
And that's all equal
Equals-
to 0.
P of x?
Nope,
or
it's
just
zero, just 0 now.
Oh, yeah, 'cause we're
Because
going the
that,
other
see
way.
that? Yep, we're going the
Got
other
it,
way.
we're finding zeros.
We have the polynomial, now
Got
we're
it.
finding the roots. Now, the first thing we always, if we're factoring, first we get everything on one side, but
we
then
take
there's a
out
question
four
we ask,
terms.
is there a GCF, greatest common factor? There
No.
is not. But now I'm like, wait a minute, there's 4 terms. So the minute you see 4 terms instead of 3, we are going to be using factor by grouping.
Okay.
So number 1, you want to make sure it's in standard form, which
It
it is. And then I'm going to have you right now in parentheses group the first 2 together. And then what I like to do is then I put the second 2 together. Yep. And I always separate them then by a plus sign, because that's really, we're not multiplying them. That's where I don't want students to get
Oh,
confused.
yeah, 'cause it was a minus.
It was a
before.
minus, so it's like
Gotcha.
plus a minus. So there is a
Okay.
plus sign in between. So now now we're going to look at the first group. Is there a greatest common factor?
X's.
So
For
we can
sure.
take out. Oh, you're rewriting
I'm
it.
just rewriting
Just
it quick.
yeah, that's
Okay.
probably that's
so
probably
what
a
can
good.
we take out?
An x squared.
Oh yeah, because there's 2 and this one
Yeah.
has 2. So I'm
So
going
we'll-
to take it out.
And we'll
So
bring it
have
down below.
X squared.
Mhm.
And when we take 2 out, we're left with 1.
Yep,
We take those 2 out, we're left with just minus 2.
correct. And then should we rewrite the
I'm gonna
other
put
side
that
up there?
plus sign so I don't forget.
And then up there. Okay.
Plus. All right. So now we're going to rewrite this one. We've got negative 25x
Mhm.
plus 50. Ooh,
Correct.
25 comes out of them both. Do we
And
take the 25 out or do we take the negative 25
always
out?
a negative.
Okay.
I shouldn't say, I said that wrong.
Okay.
If it leads with a negative like it does,
Yeah.
you have to factor out a negative
Okay.
for it to work.
So we'll
So-
take out the negative 25.
Mhm.
So we're left with just x
Minus,
and minus 25.
and the whole thing is equal.
I lied. That's a 2.
That's
Come
what-
on, Miss
I'm
Young.
like, wait a minute.
You got it. Keep me on my
Equals 0.
toes.
Don't forget the equals 0
Right.
above 2.
Above.
Right there.
Oh, gotcha.
I know I get kind of picky on
She
these
does
things.
get very picky. That's okay.
Now, we know that Miss Boyd factored right
Mhm.
because the
'Cause they're the
x minus
same.
2's are the same.
Sweet.
So now
So should we group these?
we're going to, we're factoring out an x minus 2. And then what's left
Minus
is the x
25.
squared, right? Yeah.
So I got that from here
Mm-hmm.
and here.
Yep.
And then we get to take this.
And
So we
that's,
got an x minus 2.
Yep.
Now we set those both equal to 0
yep.
to find our zeros.
Well, actually not quite
No?
yet. Not
Oh, boy,
quite
I'm
yet.
Jumping the gun.
Not
sorry.
quite yet. So the whole,
I'm getting
okay,
excited 'cause
so
I
both
thought
of
I
them
knew.
are set equal to 0. Now there's no, and there's no plus sign anymore.
Oh boy.
Okay?
Alright.
Because look what happened. The x squared minus,
Oh, 'cause
that's
we took it
there.
out. Yep,
Mhm.
yep.
So look what we can do to the x squared minus 25. We can factor
Oh, we can
that.
factor that. That's an easy one.
Uh-huh.
So it would just be x plus 5
Right.
and x
That's
minus
just
5.
the difference of 2 perfect squares, and then bring down the x minus 2.
Oh, so
See?
Oh, that's easy enough.
So like
So
before,
then-
remember we started with the roots
Yep.
and got the polynomial? We ended with the We ended with the factors and
Mhm.
now we're gonna find the roots. So we
So
set
it's just-
each one equal to 0. So x
just
plus
the
5
opposite.
equal to
Do
0.
I have to do that, or can I just say -5? Because it's the opposite number, which we showed at the beginning.
Yeah, so
Alright.
it's, then we should really write x equals, so they know what they're solving
Got
for,
it.
right? And how we got that is by setting each factor equal
To
to
0.
0.
So, yeah, if
And
I
they
set-
should know, I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
So
they
if
should
I
know
had
that by
x
now.
plus 5 equaled 0,
Right.
I'd subtract 5, and x would equal -5. That's how I got
Mhm,
that. That's how I did the
exactly.
problem.
And notice how many roots we got.
We
How
got
many?
3.
And what is the degree of our polynomial?
Well, it's to the third, so we did it right.
The degree is 3. The roots is 3. They're supposed to be the same.
Nice.
Next page. Video question 1. Solve the polynomial equation by factoring. Now, I know we didn't do an example like this. However, step 1, factor out the greatest common factor, which will be x
X to the third.
cubed.
Yeah.
And then write what's
And then
left
go from
over.
there.
Just try it. I think you can
I
do
think
it.
we can do it.
Number 2, write the simplest polynomial function with the given roots.
We give you the roots, you give
That
us the
is
polynomial.
just like the example we did. And that is it for today.
All right, see ya.
Signing off.